Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy Ship Gaming, and today I am doing an NBA team tier list. So right now at this moment, it is September 3rd, 2022. This is a day or 2 days after Donovan Mitchell got traded to the Cavaliers, and I was like, let me do an NBA tier list. Just ranking NBA teams depending on how good I believe that they are. Um, you know, depending on if I think they're a championship team, if they're not even going to make it past the first round, or if they're just going to be the worst team in basketball. So, we got S, A, B, C, and D tiers here. And I guess we're just going to jump into it. Starting off with the Philadelphia 76ers. And if you look at their team, they got James Harden and B, Tyrese Maxey. They're a team built to win now and also to win in the future after Harden is gone. But as of right now, I have them as a B team only because we don't know how well James Harden is going to play. The best version of James Harden that we've seen since Houston James Harden was 2021 Nets Harden. But like that, and that Harden was a MVP caliber Harden, and we haven't really seen that since then. So I don't really know what's gonna happen over there. Don't know if they're gonna instantly click and then f- find that same click in the playoffs, but we'll never know. Next team is the Washington Wizards. They're a C team. Even though they do have players built for the future, and they also have players who are good right now, like Bradley Beal. And then they have improving players like Kyle Kuzma, but they just aren't really a playoff team. They aren't a team that's going to make it to the playoffs. And even if they do, they'll probably make it to the play-in. That's probably the highest that I see them. Next up, we have the Atlanta Hawks. I'm going to put them as a B team because the improvement of DeJounte Murray is great. But yeah, they have DeJounte Murray and Trae Young. So I don't really know how well it's gonna work. They just barely made it to the playoffs with with the normal team that they had. Now adding DeJounte Murray, I can see them as a solid 6 seed team, maybe 5 seed if they just start playing surprisingly well. But I don't really see them as a championship caliber team just yet. But who knows? Maybe they can surprise me. But next up is the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's just me. It's just me personally. I think they are one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference after this Donovan Mitchell trade because they were. Oh wow, so bad about that. They were one game away from the playoffs with the big three, their young big three that they have, a DeJounte Murray. I mean, not DeJounte Murray. What is his name? Darius Garland. Wow. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen. That three can easily get you to the playoffs. Now adding Donovan Mitchell and not even losing big pieces to that team because they have players on the bench who they can improve, who can improve throughout the year, get better. And the next thing you know, they're starting and then they are championship contenders. I can see them making it far into the playoffs, but I think for them to be championship contenders, you're going to have to give them at least 1 to 2 years to let the Donovan Mitchell, find his way to ease into the team, um, be a good be and just be a good player on the team. Even though yes, we know he's going to do that, but now with Darius Garland, another amazing scorer on the team, it's going to be harder for him to get his buckets. So we don't know if he's going to be averaging those 25, 26 points that he normally does, like he did back in Utah. Next team is the Pistons. They're a C team. They're just a really young team with absolutely zero playoff experience. The Cavs, it's different between the Cavs and the Pistons because they're both young teams, but the Cavs show a little bit more promise because they just had an amazing season. And the Pistons, they're just built. This is a team built for the future with future picks, just looking to rebuild. And they're not really the playoff team. Same with the Pacers. I'm putting them also in C tier. They're not a team built to be good right now. They're a team built to be good in the future. So we're gonna have to see them maybe a few years down the line. Same with the Pistons. Next up is the Bucks. S tier. They're championship contenders. Um, at any given point, they could just go out there and win a ring. You don't know. They have Giannis on their team. They have Giannis and Chris Middleton, an insane duo. And they still have the veteran point guard and Drew Holiday. That team is built to win. And I won't be surprised if they were to win another championship. And next up is the Raptors. That's also an A team. They just came off of a six-seeded year. They were the sixth seed in the East, and they took the Sixers to 6 games. So, no, they were five seed actually. That is my mistake. Yeah, they were a five-seeded team. They can only improve from here. Maybe we could see them as a 4-3 seeded team, depending on how well they do. But we'll never know. Next up is the Mavericks. That's a B tier team. The reason why I don't have them at A is because they just lost Jalen Brunson. Um, if I get it, they have Luca. Luca can take them incredibly far, like he just did. He just took out two of the best teams in the playoffs, and took the Warriors to 5 games. But I don't really see them getting close to a championship unless they have a good number two for Luca. They had that in Jalen Brunson, but they just lost it, so there isn't really anything to help them there. Next up is the Nuggets. Injured, they're a B tier team, but fully healthy, that is an A tier caliber team. They can be an amazing underdog to win a ring. But since we don't know about the playing time of Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. yet, I'm going to put them as a B tier team. Now, this is as of September 3rd of 2022. So there's no news that came out yet about Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. We don't know how long they're going to play. We don't know officially when they're coming back, honestly. So we'll just have to see when the season comes. Maybe they'll end up becoming back to that A tier, but as of right now, they're a B tier team. Next up is the Grizzlies. They just came off of a 2 seed season, and they lost to the Warriors, but they still took them to 6 games. They're an easy dark horse to win a championship. Um, if anything, they could win the championship this year if they have another type of season like they did last year, and show that John Morant is actually an improvement is a big jump to their team because they still won a lot of games even while John Morant wasn't on the court. So if John Morant comes on the court and they start winning games by like 20 just with John Morant, but they can still win by 10 at least without him, then they would be a easy they would be easy S tier, but as of right now they're A tier team. Next up is the Timberwolves. B tier. I get it, they did lose a lot of pieces in that Gobert trade, but they are a team built for the future. Just like the Hawks and the Mavericks, I guess. The Nuggets just a little bit. They can easily be a 6 seeded team, or they can be 7 or 8 and have 2 chances at the play-in. But we won't know. Next up is the Spurs. This is one of the worst teams in basketball. They just lost DeJounte Murray. Their best player is I don't even know who. This team is terrible. This team will not do anything special for the next like 4 years. This team just needs to just lose their games, get high draft picks, and then just build for the future. They don't really have anything to show for it. And also the Jazz, I'm putting them also as a D tier team. They just lost the two reasons why they were a B tier, A tier team, but now they're a D tier team. Like these two teams are not good. They lost their superstars, so They're honestly both in the same boat. Next up is the Clippers. I want to put them at A tier, but we don't know how well Kawhi is going to play after missing an entire year of basketball. We don't know if he's going to pull Durant and just instantly be amazing, or if he's just going to, be a mid-tier player. We really don't know. So as of right now, they're a B team. This could change as we go further and further to the start of the season. We don't really know. Next up is the Suns. I want to put them at A tier, but I feel like I can't. But I also feel like I can't put them in B tier because I feel like they're not at the same level as teams like the Timberwolves or the Hawks. So I'm going to put them as an A tier team because at any given point, this team can just go out there and win a ring if they really tried to. But who knows? Uh, we could see the shades of championship as we did in 2021, or we could just see just failure, just as happened last year. Next up is the Blazers. This team is garbage, but they're not as bad as the Spurs or the Jazz because they still have their superstar in Damian Lillard. Um, they're not built to win, and we don't know what's gonna happen to Dame. We don't know if he's gonna stay. We don't know if the Blazers are gonna even trade him. Next up is the Kings. They're a C tier team. I would put them at D tier, but I feel like they can maybe surprise us and get into the play-in as a 10 seeded team. But we'll never know. Next up is the New York Knicks. This team is interesting because they just lost their chance of getting Donovan Mitchell. We don't know how well that improvement would be for the team, but as of right now, I have the New York Knicks B tier. That's just me. I have to use the bathroom. And we are back. As I was saying about the Kings, they could surprise everyone. I was talking about the Knicks, not the Kings, but yeah, they could surprise people, be a 10 seed. But again, with the Knicks, they're an interesting team. We don't know how well they're going to do. All they have to do is just get rid of Randall, replace them with a solid player, and they could be a 7 seed team. They could be a playing team. They could be a playing team with the current team that they have right now. So, don't really know about that. The Pelicans, also an interesting team. With Zion coming back, we don't know how good he's going to be. Don't know if he's going to be the same. He's coming off of injuries. He's still losing weight. I want to put them as a B tier team because I feel like they can be a 6 seed, but I also feel like their low right now is a 10 seed playing team, but their high is like a 6 seed. I'm going to put them as a B tier team because we just don't know how Zion is going to do. It's weird. Next up is the Hornets. I'm also going to put them as B tier, even though yes, they are losing um Miles Bridges for reasons, but they still have the likes of players like LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward can do well. I'm pretty sure they're losing Montrezl Harrell. I don't even think they were going to sign him, but now they're definitely not going to sign him after what happened to him. But they still have a good team that can be a play-in team. It's the same thing with the Pelicans. Their low is a 10 seed play-in team, but their high is probably like a 6 seed team. Next is the Rockets. This team's a D tier. They can be a C tier and surprise everyone, maybe be a 10 seed, but I feel like this team is just way too young. Just they need a few more years to actually be competitive. But I feel like the difference between the Kings and the Rockets is the Kings have a nice experienced player in De'Aaron Fox who can easily take them to the 10 seed team. Yes, the Rockets do have Jalen Green, and now with the new improvement of Jabari Smith Jr. Not Jabari Smith Jr. The dude that they drafted, I forgot his name. Jalen or something. They could be a 10 seed. Their high is a C tier team, but their low is at the same point that the Jazz and the Spurs are right now. Next up is the Heat. This is an A tier team. They could easily be a S tier team, but I'm not gonna do that. I feel like they're I feel like they should be right here. It's like not a S tier team, but they're not an A tier team. I feel like they're better than these four teams right here, but they're not as good as the Bucks. If you know what I'm saying. But I'll do this then. They're the best team in A tier. That's what I'll say. Because like the Heat, they have Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, and then they have that deep bench, which can easily make them a championship tier team, which really makes me want to put them at S, but I'll put them as the best team in A tier. Next up is the Bulls. Their low is a B tier team, but their high is an A tier. And I would take my chances of them being an A tier team. I feel like this is a team that can make it to the finals and be a S tier team, but I feel like we don't know how well Lonzo is going to do. If Lonzo plays well, maybe it can be a championship team. If Lonzo doesn't play well, then they could honestly be a B tier team. Next up is the Nets. I have them as B tier because I feel like they're better than all of the C tier teams, but they're not as good as any of the A tier teams. But they're just about the range of, the Sixers, Mavs, Hawks. They're just about as good as the rest of these teams here. So we don't know. Their high is easily championship. That's without a doubt. Their high is championship. But their low is getting swept in the first round. Next up is the Thunder. I want to put them as D tier. But I feel like with how deep this team can go, I feel like they can be C tier. But I'm going to put them as a D tier team. But that's just because Chet Holmgren is injured. If Chet Holmgren wasn't injured, I would put them as C tier. But since he's injured, they're going to be a D tier. Next up is the Warriors. This is a S tier team. They just came off of a championship, and they're running back with the same team. They don't have Gary Payton Jr. Yes, he was a big factor in the finals, but that's easily replaceable guy. And also this could be the last year of the Warriors because there's so many rumors going around with Clay and Draymond and Jordan Poole of them all leaving next year. We don't know. The next team is the Celtics. This is another team who is built to win a championship. They just signed Danilo Gallinari, who got hurt, but now they're in the likes of looking to sign Carmelo Anthony. They picked up Malcolm Brogdon, who can be a nice starter for them. Malcolm Brogdon is very underrated. If you don't know about Malcolm Brogdon, he's a bucket. He can get you an easy bucket. He's a great point guard. Honestly, if what team needs a point guard? The Knicks desperately need a point guard. If the Knicks or even the Pelicans, if the Knicks or Pelicans got them, that would have been huge for their team. But the Celtics, that just improves them so much, and they were already just in the finals. So but putting the Celtics up here really wants me to put the Heat right there. But I'll keep. I feel like the Heat are like in the middle of A and S. They can be a championship team, but they can also just miss the championship by just a little bit. Next up is the Lakers. This is a C tier team. They're not good. Like, yes, you could be like, oh, but they have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and who else? Yes, they have LeBron and AD, but who else do they have? They have no one who's getting better. They have no one who can get better. They have no young guys. See, the difference between the Nets and the Lakers, yes, the Nets also have two superstars, but the Nets also have a little bit of a bench and a little bit of players who can be developed and be better players than they are right now. For example, Cam Thomas, Nicholas Claxton, they have those types of guys. The Lakers have nobody. So their high is a playing team, and their low is missing the playoffs by however many games. Next up is the Magic. This team sucks. I don't expect them to be good anytime soon. Uh, yeah, and that's it. So this is my official NBA team tier list as of September 3rd, 2022. I have the Celtics, Warriors, and Bucks all as championship winners. They can win the championship. And if they make it to the championship, they probably will. Next up is the A tier teams. These are teams who are dark horses to win the championship. Yes, they can win. But we don't know if they will win. Bulls, Suns, Grizzlies, Raptors, Cavs, and Heat. Next up is the B tier teams. These guys can have really deep playoff runs and maybe even surprise people make it to the finals. The Sixers, Hawks, Mavs, Nuggets, Timberwolves, Clippers, Knicks, Pelicans, Hornets, and Nets. Next up is the C tier teams. These guys are playing teams and also they can miss the playoffs. Wizards, Pistons, Pacers, Blazers, Kings, and Lakers. The last tier is the D tier teams. These guys have absolutely no chance of making it to the play-in and no chance of making it to the playoffs. Magic, Thunder, Rockets, Jazz, and Spurs. And that's it. This is my official NBA tier list. If you guys want to see more tier lists, of course, hit the like button. I want to do more tier lists in the future with different things starting up. I also want to do when the MLB playoffs start. I want to do an MLB playoff team tier list of how good the teams actually are. But we'll never know. And also, before I end today's video, this video is getting uploaded September 3rd, Saturday. But it's also happening September 3rd, Saturday, the fantasy football draft live stream. I'm doing a fantasy football draft at 5:15 p.m. Eastern time. I'll put the link in the description. I also have a YouTube short about it. That link will be in the description if you just want to watch that. But yeah, I'm gonna do a fantasy draft 5:15 p.m. Eastern time. Closing time to enter the league is at 4:59. I may extend it just a little bit, just to make sure everything's filled up. So yes, remember, 5:15 p.m. Saturday, right today. Honestly, the draft could be happening as you're watching this. We'll do a live stream. You'll be in the stream. You'll get a shout out, and also the picks will be completely random. So I would like to thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.